he said.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard. This class meets in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay. Oh, Gewalt. Okay, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
So we are in the book of Kedoshim, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. There are a few parshas that have a lot of mitzvahs in them. We have 613 mitzvahs. We have 53 parshas. 613 divided by 53 is about 12.
And consider there's none in the first,
There are about
books.
2
in
the first 12 parshas. Make 14 parshas. There may be two mitzvahs.
Mm-hmm.
So there we don't have.
Right.
What?
Right.
We don't have an equal distribution.
Correct.
Of income. Instead, we have 2 parshas, many that have none, and then Kiseitse has 74?
74, 73, something like
73, 74, and Kedoshim, this parsha has 51,
yeah.
I think. And the big difference between the two, Kiseitse has stories, anecdotes, examples, and it explains the law. If such and such were to happen, then this is what you got to do. And in this parsha Kedoshim that we're learning, it's more like a laundry list. Do, don't, do, do. So we are up to our third unit here, third chapter in Kedoshim, page 618. This has to do with stealing. In the Hebrew, there are 2 expressions for what in English, what we call stealing. What are other words in English for stealing? Rob. Thievery. Embezzlement.
Yeah. Taking, just taking something. How it's used, the sentence.
Yeah. So there are, and there might be different technical terms.
Mm-hmm.
So in Hebrew we have 2 generally of ganav and gazel. We translate both as steal, rob. Tignov means more stealing in a secretive way. Gazel means to. There's another word, I can't think of it. Like if someone lends you money and then you deny that they lent you the money.
Mm-hmm.
So that.
Conniving on it.
No. Mm-hmm. So that's so holding on to something that doesn't belong. So you didn't get it by stealing it, but.
Yeah.
So that's a different category in Hebrew. We might not distinguish here between the two.
Scam somebody.
Yeah. Fraud.
Defraud.
Well, that's fraud. When you say, hey, you didn't lend it to me, that's fraud. I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
The lawyers know.
In any case,
that's a civil. Yeah, there's a civil and a criminal
Okay.
expression for each one of those. Okay.
All right. So right now I don't have it offhand. We're going to begin at page 618.
You said Ganub? Ganub?
Ganef.
Like Ganef.
Yeah,
Thief.
Like a
Thief.
Ganef.
Ganef.
Yeah. Yes, that's familiar to me from
Yeah.
Yiddish. Yes.
From Yiddish.
Yes.
Ganef.
Right. When people know 5 words or 3 words, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Ganef, Chazer, and Schluffen.
In every family.
I
Yes.
can think of some more, but that we can't say.
Yeah, well, we can't talk.
It's a family show.
Family show.
Okay. So we're in the middle of 618. All right. Said Alan?
Yes. Lo sisnohu lo sigilo zol. Do not steal, do not rob. Know that our sages said that he who steals the slightest amount from his friend is as if he stole his soul. The mystical significance of stealing and robbing is as follows.
And that is the slightest amount means the value of a pruta. In the olden days, that was the smallest coin.
Quarter,
Huh?
dime, quarter.
Less than this amount is not
No,
considered
I was looking it up
Penny?
a few weeks ago. You
Well,
know,
that's the smallest coin, correct? Penny would be the smallest coin today.
in America, right here
Half
in the U.S.,
penny.
it's a penny.
Beyond my
Here
phone.
it's a penny, but the pruta, it's not really important for you. I was looking it up a few weeks ago, and it comes out to, it depends on the price of silver.
Okay.
So it depends on the price of silver. I think I saw maybe it's under 3 cents, but I'm not sure what the price of silver was when it was that. It was I don't know if silver. It's varied widely. A few years ago, it went up to 32, and then one day it got the floor chopped out of it and went down below 20. Now it's about 16.70. A couple of weeks ago was 17 and a quarter. So it's right lately. It's been hovering around 17. Any case, if I'm not mistaken, it's the amount of silver that's equal to weight to 7 barley corns. Seven average
7 barley corns.
7 average barley corns, if I'm not mistaken.
Go
Don't
check
remember.
your barley corns.
But it's a small amount. I mean, this isn't okay. It is a little bit of a tangent, but when the Constitution says that the U.S. government, the federal government, right, they gave limited powers to the government, like 20 different things, and that's it. And one of the things was to coin money. So to coin money means like if you come in with your silver, say, here, turn it into coins for me. So they'll turn it into coins. Am I being recorded?
No.
And they'll turn it into coins.
Yeah, you are.
Over
Yes,
there,
you are.
yes, I know.
Yes, you are.
So they had to establish a standard amount. So it was based off the Spanish.
The balloon? No.
No. Thaler, something Thaler. That's where I got the name dollar from. It's was taken off the Spanish that was being used at that time, and I guess they weighed all these, and they took like an average or the most common, and it was I think 273 and a quarter grains of silver. I think that's the measurement is a grain of silver. So I think it was 273 and a quarter, and they found that as the something that was most common from everyone's coins that they had. So they set that as the standard weight
Okay.
or standard amount of silver, and that became the dollar.
I forgot what the grain is. It's like 0.325 grams divided by. So 5 grains of aspirin were like 0.325. Something I used to know it.
So if we what I read was what's a grain that if you drop like the silver into boiling water or something, it splits up into these
Little.
granules. And I guess they're all standard size. I don't know. Anyways, so that is a challenge how to figure that out. In any case, we'll go back here. The mystical significance of stealing or robbing is as follows. That's the slightest amount that has to do with pruta. Go ahead.
Stealing causes a blemish in the upper third of Tiferes of Zeranpin, for it is there that the states of Chesed become revealed, as is known. As we have explained previously, the Yesod of Ima envelops Zeranpin as far down as the upper third of its Tiferes. From that point downward, the states of Chesed that make of Zeranpin that make up Zeranpin should be up. That make up Zeranpin become revealed. Stealing is done clandestinely, so it causes a blemish in the upper concealed third of Tiferes, while robbing, which is done out in the open, causes a blemish in the lower revealed 2/3 of Tiferes.
Okay, as I mentioned, there's the distinction. So the stealing is not something that's done clandestinely, and the other one, gazlan, is it is done out in the open.
So, okay.
It's one way to distinguish between them.
Okay.
But in any case, it's both within Tiferes.
Yes.
Okay.
Chesed is the raw material out of which all the emotions are built. It is thus the basic ingredient of all of Zeir Anpin. The inner dimension of Tiferes is mercy or empathy, Rachmanim, the ability of the soul to feel for another person. Stealing or robbing is obviously the direct antithesis of this. In order to steal, an individual must forget about the other person's feelings. Stealing and robbing thus blemish, that is, weaken the power of Tiferes above.
Okay.
So the lack of empathy, that's sociopath.
Okay.
So
Or not necessarily. It could be just a normal.
again, like before, like a selfish person. I want this for me.
How about an average person? How about a general person? How about
What? What?
That people
Lately, nowadays, yes.
People, I'd say he says it has to be a sociopath.
Sociopath.
I
No,
say, I say it's the norm.
Now, unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
It used
No,
to not
it-
be.
it- like
that folks, people don't operate out of tiferet and compassion. That they're blemished.
Are you saying the average person is going to steal?
No,
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no.
the average person is not necessarily.
Does not show empathy.
In a way, yes, I'm saying that. Okay, the average person does steal, not necessarily big amounts or large amounts, but in business, there's constant stealing going on.
There's stealing of a person's
and then there's
soul-
stealing
of a person in some
of
ways.
the personality.
I'm going to say,
I'm just pointing.
I'm going to...
Yeah, you know, I just.
Okay, a lot of people, I guess, if they have a chance without any, may steal. There was a story this week on the news that a woman is being, I think, sued. The ITM gave out the wrong bills. They probably put the wrong ones in the
I heard
compartments,
that. Yeah.
and so she took it.
So she took it was lots of bills. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the number.
It was an ATM.
ATM. What did I say?
ITM.
ITM.
I don't know what
It's
you.
an
I don't-
ATM.
What does ITM stand for?
I have
I don't
no
know.
idea.
We don't know.
ITM stands for in the money.
It plumbed
money.
out a lot of
Options. Options are in the money,
That's
at the money, or out of the
obvious.
money.
I
And she-
think
and she took-
I have a sense, maybe that folks, to some extent, not to a big extent, but to a little extent, have this going on now. That it's not as important to have compassion and empathy go on in your life, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that here and that way, and it doesn't have to be monetarily. Alan's right.
No,
There-
but at school, somebody dropped a wallet, apparently in the parking lot.
That's.
They returned the wallet with the money, which
I understand. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something else.
And on the other hand,
I'm not
I
talking
hear
about
what you're
something-
saying.
I'm not talking about.
But
that matter.
there are many people who will justify when it's from a corporation.
Yeah, they justify
But
that.
or anything,
we know if
or the
it's
government,
something on their government or on their insurance,
Right,
they'll
on their
fudge insurance, or to the
government, when it
or-
turns
or
to
big-
taxes,
or big-
there's an issue.
but they justify it.
That's
Then
what I'm
they say they wouldn't do it
Yeah.
if it's a small
a meal
mom and pop.
expense, maybe an automobile, maybe for professional versus
But
personal use.
what I'm saying is because by the corporation, they don't feel the empathy, but they say that for a small business, they would have compassion, but they don't feel that because the corporation, because it's just a corporation anyway,
or the government. I'm just putting
or it's the government.
or the
But the corporation is
the
people,
rules.
Right.
and the government is from us.
Yeah, I'm just
Those of us who pay
maybe
taxes.
throwing it out, and the tax issue is very crucial to that, in terms of meal expense, in terms of in terms of personal use versus business use for many items, in terms of your medical expenses sometimes.
I'm going to take the other side on that one. Who's the Ganav?
The government is the Ganav. I understand that, but doesn't justify you for stealing from the government. I'm just pointing it out. The government's the Ganav.
You can't steal from them, but
You can't. I'm just. It's a question.
They steal from us all the time.
They steal from us. I agree. But I'm just pointing this out. A little
Okay.
bit of a fact.
yeah,
Maybe I'm just too strict. That's why I don't call it psychopath so much. I think to a greater level, at a degree, it becomes a psychopath. Yes.
or that's
but
that
I
little
see-
psychopath within each one of us.
Yes, I see this as more of the norm. That's all. I'm sorry. I
No, the other
I
position.
don't think Alan disagrees
Or-
with me.
I will say, it's really important,
Yeah.
and it's really important to do what's right. And the benefit
Mhm.
from being honest
Mhm.
usually far outweighs the money. Someone, I forgot what it was, a few months ago, that was last week, a few weeks ago, and someone's comment was like they did this to themselves for whatever it was, $800, $5,000, I don't know. Like the crime and that you were caught
Yeah.
far outweighed
Oh,
the
I think
money.
The Rebbe said anything that's ill-gotten is not going to have a good end.
Well, that's what I'm
Yes.
talking
Yeah.
about. And it's very difficult to we self-justify so much. We do it with ideas. We do it with speech. We do it it's not limited to economics. We do it with
Any
personality.
any
There's a
breaking of
lot
the law.
manipulative stealing. So
Also, when I look at it, also when I say talk about emotions
Yeah.
and the lack thereof, the way people do not get involved in things. They see somebody being accosted. Most turn the other way, and when confronted, I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. They don't want to get involved.
And they get
So-
sued.
No.
People are getting sued.
people can get sued.
Yeah, but still, I didn't. Let 'em
I'm not
prove-
justifying it. I'm
Well,
saying how
prove-
crazy we are.
Prove,
Yeah, the legal-
oh yeah,
yes,
when people
it's
get
not
sued
over.
for sue for anything. Yeah,
It's not.
but when people get robbed in broad daylight and people are around
Beat up.
and they didn't see anything, that's where I say that's where it comes from, the emotional aspect and the and this fact of mercy. They don't have that. They don't care. They don't want to get involved.
I think the government is programmed, and I think we're seeing this a little bit about even Florida, to not get involved, to not arrest bad actors like this cruise, to program it so that even though the police visited him 39 times,
Right.
The school system is designed to not have him have a record. He has to be
Overage.
yeah, he has to be treated in a much more coddled fashion, and even though he's a danger, we should maybe have more counseling, more this blah blah blah, and this blah blah blah.
Our society
And-
has lost
It's lost its
common
mind.
sense.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I'm talking about.
There's no question.
Yes.
And
Society has lost common sense. There's a girl a couple weeks ago, a 17-year-old girl, wants to be transgender. Parents don't want it. The judge took her away.
took her away, sure. And you've got this
We've lost
crazy
our common sense.
crazy wrestler who recently, in I don't know if it was Texas, wins the high school championships transgender in the girls division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing of responsibility and who's responsible for what. It's the schools. We've emasculated
Well,
the
that's what I'm
schools.
saying.
We've eviscerated the schools by suing them from every which side.
Yeah.
We say, how come you didn't do anything?
And
But the schools are getting sued from.
that's what I'm
It's-
talking a little bit about here.
it's just
here.
We've
like-
taken away their authority,
It's just
and then we
like-
hold them responsible for not
It's
having authority.
just like people ask me if I'd go back into public teaching, and I would say no. When I taught public school, if a kid mouthed off to me, I could kick him out of class. Now,
You can't
if
do
a
that.
kid mouths off to you, you've got to say thank you, and just sit there, and he can do whatever he wants,
Oh.
and you can't do anything about it.
Really?
Taking away all authority away from teachers to do things because you can't isolate the person. You can't stigmatize them. You can't label them.
How do they learn? How do they grow?
They
How do they
They don't.
get proper caring to ferret attention?
They don't. That's the problem. They don't.
That's
They don't.
All right.
That's-
So let's continue. Alan 619, first
This
bold line.
This is the mystical significance of the double restitution. For the thief causes a blemish above in the concealed levels, while the robber causes a blemish in the revealed levels. Unless he admits his crime on his own, someone who steals from his fellow must restore twice the amount he stole. In this way, he suffers the loss he intended to inflict on his victim.
So he pays twice.
Pays
Twice.
Double, yeah.
Because the blemish is in the
Right.
concealed levels.
When one steals down below in this world, he causes the forces of evil to steal up above in the spiritual worlds, the souls emerging from their supernal female, Malchut, that is the parts of Nukva Zer Anpin. She acquired these souls by virtue of her coupling with Zer Anpin. The union of Zer Anpin and Nukva of a specific world produces souls possessing the state of consciousness of that world. This coupling is part of the process the soul undergoes as it descends from its divine origin into a physical body. On the way, it must first descend through the various worlds to be processed and thus acquire the successively dimmer states of consciousness of those worlds. This process continues until it has descended in consciousness to the level of this physical world.
So what we said was that when a person steals,
Did you tell you over in the library?
yeah,
Okay.
that when a person I texted him that when a person steals, he causes that souls should be kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go ahead.
This supernal kidnapping or crib robbing means that the forces of evil are empowered by the theft below to claim a certain amount of the souls being born into this world as their own. These souls will be born with less empathy or mercy than they would have otherwise. This means that the task of infusing the world with divine consciousness and goodness will be slowed down or even suffer a setback.
This is also true on a practical level. When you talk about the crazy things that are going on here, is actually it's a breakdown of society
Oh, very much so.
that we've pulled down the structures of society over the last 60, 70 years, maybe more. We saw this months ago, and the people pulling down the symbols, meaning the statues that are up, that are the symbols of our society. But this has been going on, destroying the fabric of the society, breaking down the supports, the morals, the value of our society, and then all these crazy things happen. And we're trying to pinpoint the exact reason, but we've pulled down all like the structures that our society is based on in many ways.
In a lot of ways, we're trying to whitewash it in some ways.
There's a mass anarchism going on.
You know,
Mass anarchism.
in my mind,
in all of society.
in my mind, I look at when you say statues, all the statues that were torn down in the South. In some ways, I equate them to what ISIS destroyed in Syria, where it was history, it was archaeology, but it was history.
Mm-hmm.
It was the history they have. By destroying statues that we have now, what they took away, they're trying to whitewash history. Yes, it may not be a pleasant history,
Or
but it's
blackwash history.
yeah, but it's factual history. It's what happened, and people need to know what happened, and whether they're there, they can be a reminder of what we were, and that we've grown out of it. Not looking at them as to idealize them or make it, grandeur, but that's what we were. There's nothing wrong with that. They fought for their ideals. That's how they believed. Maybe they were wrong in what they did, but they did it. Don't disregard it. Don't try and hide it. People need to know.
It's true. One of the greatest structures that has come apart over the last 60 years has been the structure of family.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you one example, one very specific example. This is the structure of family. I'm not saying that every family was a happy unit necessarily, but that wholesomeness that was projected in the media of the family, of a two-parent family, of the respect for parents. The grandparents were very often nearby, and that has been totally torn apart. In many ways, it's been pulled apart.
Even the aspect, we joke about the idea of the family dinner. When I'll say we were growing up, I know when I was, we had dinner as a family. Always together, and now it doesn't exist. If you have a family, they often don't have dinners together. Maybe they're too busy and this and that, but for some reason,
Or they're on that.
they're on the phone or some other device, the iPad or something. They're not paying attention. Yes, we didn't have these things when I was growing up, but still, we didn't watch TV when we had dinner. We sat at a table, talked, and that. Nothing else went on. And we didn't revolve around other things. Nowadays, people revolve around all types of electronics, and the family unit has fallen apart. It's individualistic.
Right. It goes right back to
Right
back to that point.
Right.
Which point?
The point I was making is that he said, if you don't have empathy at all, or you're not involved, you become a psychopath, or a sociopath. And I said that's the norm today.
This Smithsonian cover
And
tried to. Rockwell has a family dinner.
Yeah.
The 4 values.
yeah.
Correct. So there's the family dinner, freedom of expression.
know.
So they did a remake. So the grandparents are bringing like raw produce, and the grandpa is taking a selfie.
Yeah.
The smallest boy has a tablet.
Yeah.
So everybody's in their own world.
It's just like
So it's exactly what you're saying.
one of the TV shows I watch that I like is Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck. But one aspect of the show is the family, and it has kids, father, grandfather, very strongly
It's
Catholic.
like Monahan is there, correct?
Yes, but they have a Sunday.
She's from Longmeadow.
They have a Sunday dinner together every
And
week.
she
They have a
is
Sunday.
the single mother of Tom Brady's child. So there you go. You're
But
proving the point.
again,
But
this is,
but they have. That's what showing. At
Because
least
it's
they
a
have
TV
a
show.
so
In real life,
going
it's
back
very
to
different.
Stealing, and I was saying that stealing, robbing, is a way of taking away part of the soul.
Right, yeah.
And that's really what we're kind of, and it comes. What it does is it blocks or in two different ways parts of Tiferet. Okay, either the upper or the lower. And it's a blockage there. And if you don't have that, then you give birth to children of a new group who doesn't have it, and which is where it's tough.
That's why the souls are being lost, and sometimes it's going. The goodness
But
is
it's a
slowing
societal-
down,
it's a
or
societal-
setback. Yeah,
There's a
it's
societal theft, and there's a theft of each other because we don't see each other. We see.
Because they are afraid, not
That's
because
the
they're
way
afraid
it
they're going to get caught, but because there is a respect for something that doesn't belong to you. When you lose that respect, when you lose that barrier for something that doesn't belong to you, then it's not just the theft. There's other things that you say, why shouldn't I have this? Why shouldn't I do this? The objects are not off limits, and behaviors are not off limits.
Right.
Actions are not off
and
limits.
you're losing part of your soul.
With the soul,
You're losing part of it.
If Parnassa comes from Hashem, if it comes from Hashem, which is what we believe, and if we're coveting or we're doing something like this, versus the 10th commandment, then we eliminate the whole belief system in Hashem, in terms of this world, in terms of object, and then we can do anything we want, and that's where the theft comes about, and that was the basis. Ultimately, where the world got wiped out at one point.
The flood.
The flood.
Flood,
The
the Torah
flood
says, was from
this.
theft.
Theft. Yeah, because
Not respect for private property.
Not respect here, because and that is a big. That's like say, well, Hashem doesn't exist here. Property doesn't exist. It could be yours, mine, doesn't matter. Okay, it's not Parnassa, doesn't mean that. Boom. So I can reinvent anything. I steal. I cheat. I can do
Sodom and
anything.
Gomorrah, the cities.
But
they
right
were
before
destroyed.
the flood, that was the kicker. That was the kicker of all of the sins to explode it.
You hear that, Uncle Sam? They didn't respect private property.
That was the one that I mean, I don't know. So in that sense, I'm looking at it in that deeper way.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No joke. It seems that there was a very, there was a strong belief of, I think, John Locke and the founding fathers, was the respect for private property, and with the restraints on the government for imposing on that. Okay, Jim. Continue. 619 at the bottom.
So, as is known, coupling is known as carnal knowledge. So, as is written,
Intimacy is known as knowledge.
yeah, knowledge, das. Well, yeah, knowing. It is as written, and Adam knew his wife Eve. We are also taught that feminine knowledge is light.
Light meaning not heavy.
Okay?
And the word for light is kal, which equals 130.
Okay? Kal, yes, I see that. Okay.
So
Okay, and, yeah. All right, so yeah, and
we
das
did have this. We did this idea before.
Das is knowledge in here. Okay, he's raised it. Therefore, the thief must make double restitution for the numerical value of the word for double, kefel, is the same as that of the word for light, or lightness, kal, 130. Women have light knowledge. This generally means that although women possess das, their das is initially less objective than is a man's. This relative subjectivity is necessary for women to fulfill their task of manifesting divinity in the world. Interesting. Men's relative objectivity renders them unfit for this task.
What's this saying? Women are more subjective.
They're more subjective.
Men are more objective.
Right. They're more...
Focus.
They don't take it personally.
Yeah, but women are more concretized.
But that's saying it's subjective. They're
concretized.
and relative to themselves.
Relative to themselves, yes.
So that means what? Okay, so that the das
is more personal for them.
No. The das is, in order to have proper das, what I think this means is that in order to have proper das, you need to be objective. And I don't see the connection, but that's what it says.
But I also think there's...
So therefore they are, one second, therefore they are like, they're subjective, they are biased in a way. And they can't use this das, they can't discern objectively. So
Yes.
therefore they're lacking in the das department. And because their role demands that they be subjective and not have this das. That's what it's saying.
It's initially less objective than a man's. And this relative subjectivity is necessary to fulfill their task of manifesting destiny in this world.
Divinity. Yeah.
Divinity, rather, in this world. So I think it also means that a woman is more concretized and a man is less concretized, more
Abstract.
up ideals and things of that nature. And
Theoretics.
Theoretics. And women are more down to earth, so to speak. Okay? I'm just... And that...
But-
I don't.
Initially, I'm saying.
I don't.
I think that's
I
what...
think men are more. It says men are more objective. They're more concrete as to they're looking at actual objects, where women are more emotional.
Well, I don't think that's it. I think that women are more involved with the concrete world. Okay?
We've said that many times.
men
He
are
doesn't
more-
say that here, but we
But
have
here.
I'm
said that
I-
many
I
times.
understand.
But it doesn't say that here.
I know that, but I think that's part of what it's connecting up to. Because
But here we're looking at what it says
here it talks about there's a problem with women's knowledge, okay? Which is her das. It's light.
A deficiency.
It's a light. It is that they call it
Superficial.
well, that might be. That might be superficial.
Superficial.
Light.
It's light. It's
light.
it's
light.
superficial. Where men's is more objective. It's
it's
more.
light.
It's more. It's heavier. It's more concrete. It's more.
But see, evil can use this.
Yes.
And that's where the next line is. In any case, robbing Nukva of her offspring, which is what we're talking about, theft, the forces of evil are attacking her use of her lightness of knowledge. So
Right.
It's
Right.
useful because when you have all of this robbing going on, then from the feminine perspective,
That's a weak spot in
it's
the
a weak
secondary.
spot. It's
Right.
a weak
You're taking
spot.
advantage
You
Take
take
advantage.
advantage. That's what
of
I'm
the
pointing-
Right.
of the rookie player.
That's right.
Yeah.
You could. That's
Okay.
that's a way to put it. Okay, so kefil,
See? Football.
kaf, pay, lamed, 20 plus
It's a football
Yeah.
analogy.
80 plus 30 is 130, and then
Baseball
kal,
too.
kaf, lamed, 130 plus 130. We will now see.
So kal,
Right.
they means
the
light or
Light.
deficient.
Light, lightness.
is
yeah.
the same gematria as what you have to pay.
The
You pay
doubleness.
kefil,
That's the
double.
restitution. Yeah.
so you're restoring
yeah.
the das,
Yes, you're bringing, you're refining it. You're
making my
making
wife
it
smarter.
whole, making it whole.
Thinking what?
No, I didn't say anything. So,
Yeah, you're helping. You're helping there. You're helping. Okay. The same way we get helped. We get help too. We have our own division. Furthermore, when someone steals down below, he also causes the forces of evil to steal up above. The soul's ascending as feminine water to Malchus. This causes the descent of the seminal drop of male water from the male parts of Zeranpin. Okay. Male water and feminine water, the imagery of rain and evaporation, or even of geysers, Zoharic terms for arousal from above and arousal from below, respectively. When a soul completes its task on earth, or the positive energy created by this good deed ascends back through the spiritual realms into the source of Malkut. This upward surge from below elicits a corresponding downward response from above and causes a further revelation of divine beneficence. And he who steals the...
studying a case, whatever, breaking your head with a student, so you're putting your life into it, you get paid for that. That money represents your labor and your effort.
Right.
So that is one reason why that money represents your own soul.
Yeah.
And a second is that now that you have this money and you haven't eaten all day and you're feeling faint, you take this money and you buy something and you eat, so you feel